Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining me. My name is Lauren and I'll be guiding you through a restorative yoga practice where all you need is wall space, and it doesn't need to be a whole lot of wall space. It doesn't need to be very wide. This is more than enough for what we're going to be doing today. Because I'm on the hardwood, I folded my mat over, so it's actually been doubled over. And then I'm going to be placing a towel under my head when we're in the legs up the wall poses. So you might want to consider more padding under your torso, under your head, but otherwise you don't need anything. And then I've got my bowl here. I'll be using this as a timer to let us know when we're moving from one pose to the next. So if you're new to restorative yoga is meant to be very calming, very quieting, very relaxing. We're gonna move through about 4 poses, a little warm up before, but then about 4 poses where we'll be using the wall for all of them. But if at any point any of these poses become uncomfortable on your back, you're welcome to come up to a seat or come away from the wall, whatever you need to do. Remember that in especially restorative yoga, everything should be really, really, really comfortable. So if that's not the case, move, fidget, wiggle, whatever you have to do, make sure that you find yourself in a position that's really, really comfortable. So that's really important. So we're going to start with a little bit of breath work, a little bit of centering. I'm going to stay seated. I'm actually going to lean up against the wall and just take a seat. You're welcome to come down onto your back. We are going to come back up to a seat, but you're welcome to start on your back, start seated, using the wall, not using the wall, whatever you'd like. We'll be here for about 5 minutes. So I'm leaning up against the wall, just lengthening my legs. You can have your legs crossed. Wherever you choose to be, find a comfortable position. So just let everything relax. Let everything soften. Remembering that that really is the intention of this entire practice, not just of these next few moments, but the intention and the purpose of really the next hour is to let your body relax, your breath relax, your mind relax, your energy, everything, every layer of your being, let it soften. So just allow the weight of your body to fall down towards the floor, towards the core of the earth. Let everything relax. Recognize that there is nothing you need to do. Over the next hour, the only thing you need to do is relax and listen to your body. No one else needs anything from you. Your focus can be on yourself, caring for yourself, spending time with yourself. So continue to relax, continue to soften. And notice your breath. Notice how smooth and fluid your breath is. And we'll just stay noticing the breath here. Now your breath will be different whether you are laying on your back or whether you're seated. So there are no right or wrong answers to any of the following observations or questions. But notice as you breathe, are you breathing through your nose or your mouth? Notice if your breath is silent or if it makes a sound. And if it does make a sound, is the sound on the inhalation or the exhalation, or both? And then notice where your breath goes. So this is the part that will be very different if you're upright or if you're on your back. So no right or wrong answers, but when you're breathing, does your breath settle into your chest by your collarbones and sternum and heart? Does your breath come down to the ribs, and does your breath go out wide in the ribs? Or does your breath go to your low belly, allowing the low belly to rise and fall? No right or wrong answers, just notice your breath. And then notice how smooth and fluid your breath is. Or maybe it's a little choppy, it stutters, it's interrupted. Notice the texture, the fluidity of your breath. Now just slowly release your attention from your breath. Continue to breathe naturally and keep your focus inside. But here you have an opportunity to set an intention. So if it feels right for you, you might take the next few moments to set an intention for your practice. Your intention is really asking yourself, what made you come to yoga? What made you come to your mat and choose this practice? It might be a physical quality, it might be something more abstract, but whatever it is, give yourself a few moments to silently and slowly repeat it, to allow it to settle in your heart. And then slowly deepen your breath and bring some movement into your body. Maybe wiggle fingers and toes, rock the head side to side, ankles and wrists, arms and legs. And if you're on your back, slowly roll over onto your side in a tucked fetal position. Push down into the floor to lift yourself up. We'll all meet in a comfortable seat. So again, coming to a comfortable seat, we won't be here very long. If you've got a block or a bolster or something close by that you can sit on, you can grab that. Mine's across the room. We won't be here that long, so I'm not gonna bother, but you might, if it's right next to you, I would suggesting on something. We're gonna focus on moving your spine a little bit before we come into our restorative poses. So lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, relax the arms, and inhale, draw your belly forward, lift your chest, lift your heart, you might even look up. Exhale, tuck your tailbone, draw your ribs back, your chin to your chest, look down towards your lap. Inhale, draw the belly forward, lift the chest, lift the heart, look up. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs back, chin to the chest, look down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. One more, inhale and exhale. Now slowly return back to the center. Now we'll move the spine side to side. So inhale, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, bring the right hand down. So the left fingertips reach to the side of the room. Inhale to the center. Exhale, switch sides. Left hand down, right fingertips reach. Inhale and exhale. Know that there's no rush, there's no hurry. We're just moving around a little bit so that when we're resting in the stillness, one, we don't feel stiff because we are going to be laying with our torso in the same position for a while, but also it sometimes is very challenging to just come right into a restorative pose. So we want our body to have the freedom to move a little bit and then ask it to come to stillness. Let's do this one more time each side with the upper body. And then we'll return back to the center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, drop the arms, take a twist over to your right. Inhale to the center, lengthen up. Exhale, drop the arms, take a twist. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's do this 2 more times each side. Again, just creating some movement. Also thinking of any yoga class, not just restorative. Shavasana is very intentionally at the end. Let's do this 1 more time each side. Because again, that resting in stillness, that quiet, that really soft, quiet, still space, we almost need to warm up to get there, more so mentally than anything. Okay, inhale, let's return to the center. Exhale, let the arms come down. Okay, all right, so we will come into our legs up the wall position. So again, we're gonna move through about 4 poses, each where we have our torso flat on the floor and our legs up the wall. If you want to do any of these poses away from the wall, you can. Keeping in mind that we will be resting our torso again in stillness for a while, you might want to put more padding on or more layers on, because you certainly are not going to get warmer by resting in stillness. So that's often the case with restorative. Grab a blanket, grab a sweatshirt, whatever you need. I'm gonna pad under my head, so I'm gonna put this close by. So to set up for legs up the wall, you come so that your side is resting against the wall. You're sort of in this tucked fetal position, and you take a seat not in the center, because when you sort of roll back, you'll end up in the center. So a little bit closer to the side of your mat, your side of your body against the wall. You bring your hands behind you, allow your legs to lengthen, coming down onto your torso. So now you should be more or less fairly centered on your mat. And give yourself some time. So these first few poses, I'd like you to be a little bit farther away from the wall, arguably where you can bend your knees, and not necessarily your knees won't be a right angle, but like for me, I can't even really touch the wall. So I want you a little bit farther away for these first few poses. Okay, but we are going to start with the legs long. So this is traditional legs up the wall, Viparita Karani. And we're going to do a few variations of this before coming back to this pose itself. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with a version of figure 4. So, or a version of figure 4, which is a variation of pigeon. So you'll bring your right ankle to the top of your thigh or to your shin, but we just want to make sure it's not on the knee. So either above the knee or below the knee. And oftentimes when we take this pose, when it's not a restorative version, I often ask students to flex the foot, but now you can let it relax because it's supported and the intention of the pose is very different. So your foot can relax. Now the hope is that you're feeling a stretch in your right side. You're probably not feeling it, so you'll probably have to bend your left knee. So for me, I'm far away enough from the wall that the bottom of my left foot comes flat onto the wall. Yours might not. It might just look something like this with the heel resting and most of the bottom of the foot
floating off the wall, but you choose a variation of this stretch that feels good. If you find that you're bending your knee a lot to where your heel actually comes up off the wall, you probably need to come closer to the wall. So we don't really want the left knee that deeply bent. Okay. So the hope again is that you're feeling a comfortable stretch through your right glutes, your right back side. Now it won't nearly be anywhere as deep as a traditional pigeon. That's okay. We're looking for a more mild to medium stretch because we're sustaining it for such a long time. Then we'll stay in each of these poses for about 5 minutes. And the hope is that we can rest in stillness once we're there. So if you need to do any moving, wiggling, fidgeting, shake your sillies out, you do that the first few moments. So you're welcome to do that. And then rest. Do what you need to find the pose for you. And we're really looking for what Bernie Clark calls a Goldilocks position. Not too much, but not too little. We're looking for just the right amount of stretch, the right amount of sensation for you. So what's nice about practicing yoga on your own is you're not able to compare yourself to others. Oftentimes that's a big downside of practicing yoga in a group. We're looking around, we're comparing our body, comparing our pose to others in the room, and that's so counterproductive to what yoga is all about. So now you really have to focus on how you feel, focus on what the stretch or the pose means for you, and checking in. Again, we're looking for something a little mild to moderate, nothing too deep. You certainly feel its presence, but it's nothing sharp, nothing shooting, nothing that makes you wince or make a face. Then you know you've gone too far. Knowing again that we are staying here for several more minutes, find your Goldilocks position. Not too much, not too little, just right. And then relax. Slowly deepen your breath. Bring soft movements into your body. Maybe rock the head, wiggle fingers and toes. And we'll start by lengthening the left leg along the wall again, and then lengthen the right leg. Give yourself a few moments to move in any way that feels good. Maybe lengthen both legs, really reach to the ceiling, maybe hug your knees to your chest. Give yourself a little bit of movement between these poses. Again, we're resting in stillness, which is very often unusual for our bodies, with the exception of right before we go to sleep. And so our body tends to crave just a little bit of movement between these poses. If you'd rather be still, you're welcome to do that. Okay, and obviously we'll do that pose on the second side. So we'll start by lengthening the right leg along the wall. It's just relaxed. You're not reaching for the ceiling. You're letting your heel just rest on the wall. The left ankle will come to the either right thigh or right shin, either above or below the knee, but not on the knee. Left foot can be relaxed here. And you might stay just like this, or you might slide your right heel down the wall. Now again, for me, the bottom of my right foot comes flat onto the wall. If that's not the case for you, you might need to come toward or away from the wall. We want to make sure that the foot doesn't come below the knee. So we want to make sure that the heel is still able to be on the wall. But maybe it's just the heel on the wall, that's fine. But the heel at the very least should be making contact with the wall. It's all right if the toes aren't, it's all right if the ball mount of the foot isn't. And then you just check in, because your two sides are different. This side might require more or less to get the same stretch the first side felt. So really listen to this side, how it's feeling now. What's happening? Does it want more? Does it want less? And then position your arms in any way that feels good. Usually I often suggest to students arms out in opposite directions, or if that's uncomfortable, like for me, being in these poses for a long time, my arms start to fall asleep. So I just allow them to come just a few inches closer to the hips. So they're not alongside my body. They're somewhere between, maybe at about a 45-degree angle. But ideally, the palms would be facing up so that the backs of the hands are resting, so that the shoulders and the chest are opening, even just mildly. And any other movement you need to do, you do that here, so that you can rest in stillness for the next several minutes. Know that throughout the practice, if you feel the need to move, you absolutely can move. You're not restricted. You're not in any way immobile. You can move. You have autonomy. You have full authority over your body. You can move. You can adjust. You can wiggle. But the magic of restorative yoga really is in the stillness, in the long held stillness. So it's just a matter of finding your comfortable pose where you can find that magical still spot where you no longer feel the need to move. You don't have the urge to move. You can rest. You can relax. Gently deepen your breath and bring soft movements into your body. Again, start by lengthening first your right leg and then your left leg. Take some time, move however you'd like. Okay, we'll all meet on our backs with the feet flat on the wall, the knees bent. Okay, so this pose that we're going to do is a variation of Happy Baby and or Malasana, the deep yogic squat. So one of those poses I'm sure you're familiar with, and it's a variation of those poses. So the feet will be flat on the wall, and for this one, I can already tell I would like to scoot a little bit closer to the wall, so I sort of just shimmy a little closer. I'm still not touching the wall with my seat, but I'm pretty close, maybe 2 inches or so. Okay, so you might have to adjust. Everyone's body is different. But again, the knees bent, feet flat, and then heel toe your feet away from each other so they're wide. So for me, my feet are sort of on the trim of the from the doors, and that's okay. Okay, now it doesn't matter to me if you keep your toes up towards the ceiling, like feet parallel. When we're standing, in most poses, that's pretty important. But here, if you're familiar with Malasana, in Malasana, we turn the toes out so the feet look like the letter V. That's okay. So it's sort of like your toes are pointing towards the top corners of the ceiling or top corners of the room. Now, you might let your knees really come wide and your feet fall towards the floor, towards the baseboard. The bottoms of the feet are still on the wall. And you're going to feel something through your hips and inner thighs. Make sure you're finding a version that is comfortable, and again, that you can sustain for several minutes. So for me, when I walk my feet closer down to the baseboard of the floor, I can stay here, but it's really a deep stretch. So I'm going to walk my feet a little bit higher up. Okay. So finding what works for you. Keep in mind, and not just with this pose, that was just an example, but in any pose or movement, anything you do with your body, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. So yeah, maybe your feet can come really far down, but maybe that creates too much tension in the knees or the ankles or the hips. So find your version, your Goldilocks position, not too much, not too little, where it's just right. And then again, position your arms wherever is most comfortable. And notice the feeling in your inner thighs and the insides of the hips. Checking in that any and all sensation that you're experiencing is comfortable. You're able to relax and release. You're able to soften the muscles and joints. Your breath is a smooth, fluid stream of breath. It's not choppy or interrupted. Not forced or labored. And you can relax. You allow your torso to feel heavy on the floor beneath you. Letting gravity do its job, drawing the bones, the muscles, and your organs down towards the floor. But your legs feel light. They're feeling a comfortable stretch. There's very minimal work or effort going on in this pose. You can truly let go. You really can relax. Deepen your breath. Bring soft movements into just your upper body. And then bring your hands to the outsides of your thighs and use the strength of your arms to push your legs together like you're closing a book. And then maybe lengthen, maybe rock side to side. Now we're going to come back into our traditional legs up the wall. But before we do that, I just want to show you another or two more poses actually that you could do if you wanted to swap one of these out and do one on your own another time. Another option, another hip opener, which is what made me think of it. The one we just did, but then also if you were to put your feet flat on the ground, or I'm sorry, on the wall, and then let your knees splay out, so it's like butterfly pose. So the knees are out wide, and then now just the pinky toe sides of the feet are on the wall, the bottoms of your feet are together. So that could be another comfortable hip stretch that you do. Maybe you pause the video, you set a timer for 5 minutes, you do it. Or another one is with the legs long, let the feet come out wide so they look like the letter V. I actually prefer to do this pose so that I can rest my heels on either the edges of doorways or the corner of a wall. Oftentimes when the legs just do their own thing, they come out a little too wide. So that's another pose you could do on your own. Again, maybe pause the video, set a timer, do one or both of those poses, or neither, just keep following along with me. It really depends on how much time you've got, how much time you want to dedicate. But any one of these poses can be done by themselves. Certainly the asymmetrical ones should be done together, but you can swap any of these out, do any of these on your own, whatever you need, make the practice what you need from it. Okay, so tangent aside, we're coming back to legs long, feet are either together or about hip distance. In my body, what ends up happening is my big toes start together and then they start to sort of splay out. That's okay. So you can start with heels together, heels about hip distance, but no wider than hip distance here. And this will be our final legs up the wall pose. So just again, check in that you're really comfortable, that your torso can really rest heavy on the ground. And while your torso is feeling that heavy pull from gravity, your legs feel light, as if gravity has no effect on them. They're not reaching, they are not forcing or stretching in any way. They are completely passive, but they feel like they're floating. Your legs have this light sensation within them, again, as if they are floating, as if gravity has no effect on them. The heels rest against the wall. They do not push. They do not force. You let gravity and the props beneath you, whether it's the wall or the floor, all of those things do the work, not you. Again, the intention and purpose behind a restorative pose is to slow down, is to calm down, quiet the body, quiet the mind, let everything rest at ease. So continue to rest. feel. Take a moment to notice how you feel. If you could grade the way that you feel right now, physically, give it an A, a B, a C, a D, hopefully not an F. But notice how you feel, and if this feels like an A+, maybe you stay here for Shavasana. But also another factor to consider, do you feel like this is somewhere you feel like you can relax? Is your mental state feeling like it is calming here? If your physical comfort and your mental comfort both rate an A+, you could stay here for Shavasana. But if you'd rather move, start to wiggle fingers and toes, rock head side to side. Take some movements here. And you are more than welcome to roll over onto one side in a tucked fetal position. Pause for a moment. And then push your hands into the floor to lift yourself up. And you can come onto the length of your mat in a more traditional Shavasana. Now I'm going to stay seated. I am going to grab my block now. So I'm going to come to a seat, but you should stay either in legs up the wall or come flat onto your back for a more traditional Shavasana. So Shavasana, whatever version you're taking, is a restorative pose. We still come to stillness. We come into a position that feels very good. It takes almost no work to maintain. And you can relax. Now what's different about this pose is that you won't really be feeling much. The sensation probably won't even be mild or moderate. It will be very minimal, if any at all. And that's okay, because the intention here is not to get a deep stretch. It's not to lengthen the muscles. It's to soften. And so you find yourself in a symmetrical, easy, comfortable position where you're not doing any work. You're not putting forth any effort. You can relax your muscles, your joints, your connective tissues, your organs, your breath, your mind. Let everything relax. All layers of your being. Everything about you is relaxed.
Slowly deepen your breath. Bring soft awareness back into your body. Bring your senses back into the room. Hearing the sounds, feeling the temperature, feeling your body as you wiggle and move. Taking your time. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. Slowly roll over onto either side, resting your ear on your arm to support your head and neck. Keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground and come up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to thank yourself for making it to your mat today, and maybe reflect on your intention. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. And now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. To seal our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Om is the oldest and most sacred mantra. You're welcome to just listen or join me. But we chant the sound of Om because it is said to be the seed sound, the first sound that ever existed. And it exists in all living things and therefore unites all of us together. So again, you're welcome to listen or join me, but I will chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start with a deep and clearing breath. Inhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, all of these poses can be done seated or laying down without the wall, if the wall was bothering you in any way. But if you liked those poses and liked that sequence, any one of those poses can be held for much longer. So we held them for about 5 to 6 minutes, but especially the traditional legs up the wall with the legs just straight up the wall, you can hold that for 15 to 20 minutes if that feels really good. It's a really good stretch or pose to do before bed, or if you've been on your feet all day. So those are good stretches to do without anything else. If you just want to come to the wall and just do one for 5 minutes, or each of them for 5, or one for 20 minutes, however you want to do, the legs up the wall sequence really has a lot of fluidity and flexibility within it. So hopefully you gained something from it, especially with restorative, and even more so with legs up the wall sequences. Notice how you sleep on the nights that you practice restorative and or legs up the wall. Again, with the calming intention and nature of the poses and the sequence. Oftentimes it's the night we get the best sleep. So you might not physically feel any different, but the hope is that something, even if it's very subtle, has changed about you or your energy or your mindset. So just notice how you feel. And again, legs of the wall, flexibility within that sequence. So make it yours. If you want to do that on your own, know that you're always welcome to. So thank you again for joining me, and have a wonderful day. Stay safe and healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.